my name is Alyssa, and it's probably been a good year since I've made one of these videos, which is kind of ironic because of the topic of the video. So each year I choose a word that serves as a theme for the year, which helps to facilitate my goals, habits, and intentions. And then whenever I feel stuck or complacent about things, I'll reflect on that word to make sure that my decisions and actions are in alignment with that focus and leading me in the right direction. This approach to goal setting has helped me to cultivate long-term progress and self-development, which often ends up feeling more fulfilling than crushing those easy short-term goals, even though I love crushing short-term goals. Last year, my focus word was discomfort, which proved to be a lot more challenging than I anticipated. It was 2020 after all. But let's take a look at my intentions for last year. So I'm calling it living in the discomfort zone. The difference between staying in our comfort zone or making progress can be just in showing up. It can be in pushing through and saying yes, stepping into the unknown and embracing the unexpected, and being open just to trying something. So I can look back at that and laugh now because I had these really big plans for getting out of my comfort zone and trying new things and saying yes to things and really getting out of my comfort zone. But I ended up, because of COVID, back in the most comfortable place of all, which was at home with all my comforts and not even being allowed to go out and do all of these things. All my plans were cancelled. That's just how these things work out sometimes. And sometimes when you put it out there and say, this is the thing that I want to work on, somehow everything becomes a bit more of a challenge, and it ends up being a bit more work than expected. So that was really challenging. I sort of had to find other ways of putting myself out there and doing things that were a little, that did challenge me, but just not quite in the way that I planned. So this year, which is 2021, I wanted something completely different, and I knew what I wanted and what I needed in order to achieve my goals and to foster some good habits. I needed a motivating force, so something to do with consistency and frequency and small steps in the right direction. And I needed a driver, something that would actually enable all other good intentions to fall into place. So eventually I came up with the word, and the word is discipline. My theme for 2021 is discipline in all aspects of my life. So this is the word that I really want to explore. And yes, I know it is a little ironic that I normally announce my theme at the start of the year in January, and it is now June. So let's just say that kind of discipline hasn't really been working out for me so far. But it's all about self-improvement and self-development, so you've got to start somewhere. So let's explore discipline and what it means to me and how it's helping to facilitate these goals and good habits. So motivation is helpful, but personal growth requires discipline. Why wait for motivation to strike? How much time will pass and how many opportunities will be lost while we're waiting for inspiration to strike? The solution is already available. It just takes a little more planning and intention, and the answer is discipline. So to be clear, the definition of discipline in this context is not this. So one definition is to train someone to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. So that's not what discipline means to me in this context. It's about this definition: to discipline oneself to do something, train oneself to do something in a controlled and habitual way. And I got those definitions from the Apple dictionary that's built into my computer. So in the carrot versus stick metaphor, the carrot represents reward and the stick represents punishment. And one could be motivated by reward or punishment, yet there's an element missing from that metaphor: the willingness to be self-driven in order to achieve the desired outcome. I mean income too, if you have financial goals. Let me say that again: the willingness to be self-driven in order to achieve the desired outcome. So motivation alone isn't enough for sustained progress. If we rely simply on being in a motivated mindset, then what happens on the days when we're lacking energy or we're distracted and preoccupied with other pressures? And when we fall into a rut, it can be really hard to get back on track again if self-discipline isn't practiced. A major key to self-development is knowing what you're chasing. So the first step is to identify your goals and intentions, and they may be to do with finances, health, fitness, skills development, relationships and family, or community, or work and business. They need to be clear, achievable, tangible goals. The next step is to work out an action plan. So what steps need to be taken in order to achieve your goals? And that could be the difference between reading 50 books in a year, which is a defined goal, whereas an action plan would be read 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. So that's an action that can be taken in order to achieve your goal of reading 50 books in a year. Then we need to put systems in place that enable those frequent habits. Make it so simple that it's hard to fail. Schedule, prepare, and automate. For example, that could be blocking out time for your reading goal. So if you wanted to read in bed before you go to sleep, then adjust your nighttime schedule so that you can go to bed an hour earlier and then you get an hour of reading in. Or if you're reading in transit, make sure your Kindle is loaded up with books that are ready to read, or you've got your actual books with a bookmark as well. Just make it really easy to pick up and go. Keep an up-to-date list of books that you want to read so that you don't waste precious reading time scrolling through reviews or book lists trying to decide what you want to read next. And those concepts are really simple, but they can apply to any habit that you're trying to implement. And make it easier on yourself by removing distractions. So single task, practice focused attention on whatever task is at hand, and leave no room for excuses or temptations or procrastination. This is about small steps in the right direction. So being accountable to regular bite-sized actions will help to foster those good habits that will not only help you to achieve your goals, but help you to develop into the person that you want to become. And that could be the difference between read 50 books in a year versus become a voracious reader. So on one hand, you could say, I have read many books. On the other hand, you could say, I am a reader. Again, that applies to any habits or practices that you're trying to implement in your life. So coming back to the word discipline, discipline is not about deprivation. If the idea of discipline is loaded with a sense of being denied or deprived of something, then let's reframe that thinking into what positive actions could you take or you could add into your life rather than restricting or removing things. So if you're starting out to improve your lifestyle, simple habits executed regularly can make a great difference in the long term. For example, it might be drinking an extra glass of water in a day, so you're adding something into your life. Or spend 30 minutes practicing a new language, if that's your goal. Set a consistent wake-up time that enables you to manage your time in such a way that you can add something extra into your life. It could be meditating for 10 minutes a day, just remembering that 5 minutes of meditation a day is far more effective than, like a 20-minute meditation session every now and then. So it's about that regularity. Or it could be preparing a financial strategy at the start of every month. Maybe that's a budget or some other kind of financial planning. Making healthy choices a part of your lifestyle helps to improve your well-being and sense of accomplishment. So when I go for a walk or a jog around my house, not around the house, around my neighborhood, that's the word, there are many roads that lead back to my house. So it's a matter of turning left at any one of these streets that will lead me back to my house, or if I keep going straight ahead, it'll take me on a longer route. So at every corner I have a choice. I can go back home and finish my workout, or I can continue straight ahead. And straight ahead is the disciplined approach. So it's choosing the harder thing with the better outcome. And choosing straight ahead is empowering, and to this day I have never regretted choosing straight ahead. Choosing the hard thing that is better for you pays off in the long run. There's freedom in choice, and self-discipline is not punishment, it's empowerment. Being disciplined is so much more than instilling good habits. It's also about being consistent and structured around time for rest, recovery, and play. It requires the ability to set boundaries around your accessibility to others, and it's about showing up on time and being fully present. Self-discipline leads to self-respect, self-esteem, and self-worth. Don't wait for motivation to get you going. Practice discipline to make sustained, compounding progress with conscious choices and a long-term vision. Now that we're halfway through the year, seeing as it's June of 2021, I have been practicing a disciplined approach for the 6 months of this year. So you might be wondering how I'm getting on. I've been doing really well in some areas and pretty terribly in others. So in regards to my work, my graphic design, my business, and some financial goals I'd set, I've been doing well at having a disciplined approach in that regard. When it comes to my health, I've been sick 3 times this year, and so last month I gave myself a bit of a shake up and reassessed things, my lifestyle, and it comes back to that disciplined approach around rest and recovery and healthy choices. So yeah, there was room for improvement around rest and health, but I'm on a better path with that now. I haven't been allowing as much time for my fitness goals as I had intended, but it's actually a massive improvement on last year. I'm much fitter and, I was going to say healthy, but then I was sick, but I'm feeling a lot better. And I mean, I have actually been working out as opposed to last year when I hardly did. I've been better at spending time with family and friends. I mean, that's always ongoing. You know, I want to see everyone and spend time with people more, but I've been doing that. It's been easier, obviously, since we're not in lockdown. This year we've had a lot of freedom here in New Zealand, so we're very fortunate. So that was a really big goal for me, that it does take discipline. You know, it's so much about time and energy management, and making sure that I do keep that contact with people. It's funny because even though it's something that I want to do, it still can be hard to do. I tend to let other obligations take up all my time, and it's a work in progress. And then I have been doing really poorly at reading, and I've hardly read any books this year, so that's something I really want to get back into. Speaking of reading goals, and I was wanting to learn Te Reo Māori this year. I have barely done anything towards that, so I need to sign myself up for a course, which I will do ASAP. And then when it comes to personal projects, again, not so great, but I did write this blog post, which was the first thing I've written in a very long time. I haven't been doing any work on my novel. So yeah, there's still work to be done around this theme of discipline. I still have 6 months left, so we'll see how we go. But the thing is that the word discipline has been ever present in my mind, and so I'm still very conscious of it, and it is enabling me to make better decisions and better actions compared to where I could be. So it's helped me to make some progress and to be accountable in certain areas. But I still love choosing these words as a theme for my year. And you know, it wouldn't be growth without challenges. And sometimes, you know, when you put the word out there and you know, it seems like everything kind of doubles down on making it even harder to focus on that word. For example, discomfort, and then, you know, I was straight back in my comfort zone and my isolation bubble. I really believe that there is growth when there's friction and resistance. You know, that is how we learn to grow and progress and develop ourselves. So even though we're already at June, halfway through the year, I would really love to hear what your word would be for this year, whether you have already thought of something, a theme for 2021, or whether you want to kind of take a mid-year reset and reassess where you're at and consider a word that will carry you through for the rest of the year. I know that when I ask people what their word would be for the year, and they come up with some really wonderful words that I would never even think of, and they're so personal and specific to their own personal growth and where they're at and what they're trying to achieve in their life, and I find it fascinating. I would love to hear if you have a word or a theme for your year, then please share it below, because I'd love to hear about it and how it's going for you, or maybe you just want to start out and you know, finish off the year with some kind of direction. Then yeah, please share. I would love to hear it. And I guess as part of my disciplined approach to life, I will try not to leave it so long between videos. So thank you for taking the time to watch my video, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll be back soon.